For me, this space becomes that space of trust building. Because remember, historically, we are saying when you're coming from a liberation war kind of an experience, and you haven't dealt with it, and you're still militaristic in terms of your conduct, wherever, whatever structure, you don't need a uniform or a gun, but it's that use of force to get something out of something by other people as a culture. It's a space where there have been a lot of suspicion, where even if they are our relatives, the moment they put on that uniform, we then disconnect with them. Even if we watch movies, international movies where guns experienced, and that shows us about their kind of security sector reform, we had some kind of fear of engaging with our own. So it was okay to read about it. It was okay to watch it in a movie. It was okay even if you would be invited to go and learn about it from another country. But it was uncomfortable to talk about it at home, because you were not sure in terms of what was going to be the outcome of the dialogue. It's a space where people have been very suspicious. They think these people want to kill us, or they want to control us, or they are just acting on the state's orders to compromise our rights. So when ZPSP created this space where you can actually sit next to this person and talk to them and see them even dressed casually, and know that at the end of the day, no one is more Zimbabwean than the other. We are all Zimbabweans who want the same rights, who wants the same, the same good life locally. It demystified the security sector. It created the link of communication.
It is not an issue that I believe it should be solely left to be driven by politicians. And was the politicians have a stake to protect, and would not be very much flexible in terms of letting any other person interacting with the security forces. This is where they drive some of the drive their power, by sidelining the security from interacting with the general public, by sidelining the general public from interacting with the security sector.
There is now a more human face to the security sector, a lot more interaction with the community in general, to a point where they now will accept to even send their children to the security sector. It used to be taboo to actually send your child to join the army. Instead of getting a farewell to say this person is going to the army, you'll actually get people mourning that my child is going to join the army. But it's become more acceptable now. What will normally come out as questions to these people is the attitude that armed forces have towards people. They are normally viewed as very aggressive people who only come in when there is trouble, and all they do is beat up people. So that's another area that they actually have to work on. They've got the trust of those that hold the power. They also have the trust of the ordinary person. If you look at, for example, individually amongst the personnel that are there, if you look at Gula-Ndebele, for example, he has been Attorney General, he has been somebody who comes from this region. Because this region, in a way, has had a lot of issues, and they are able to actually try. But he is also interacted, is viewed as someone who holds a certain position amongst the people, the ruling elite at the moment. Same applies with Jeremy, with his experience in Africa of setting up security sector transformation or reforms in other countries, and helping other countries coming up with frameworks that have actually helped, and also his involvement in the actual guerrilla war, which the government holds so dearly as the cornerstone of the independence of Zimbabwe.
There was a lot of misconception and mistrust, obviously, starting from the an archaic definition of security sector. And this created initially, therefore, people could not go out into the community, into the various sectors, before you made the state security sector feel secure that you are not attacking them, because that was the initial impression. Everybody thought when there's SST, they just think you are really thinking about changes in the armed forces, changing in the intelligence, changes in the police, and so on and so forth. And they personalized it, and they did not institutionalize it. Obviously, you have to go to the traditional institutions deemed as security and be able to get their confidence and make them appreciate the fact that their role is broader than they think. And their role does not only need to be confined to them, but must go broader into the what? Into participation, and see a role also for civil society, for example. While there's been some improvement, there is still a degree of I think some resistance in other areas. It's very difficult to be involved in this sort of thing without playing a part in non-partisan political framework. What is key there is non-partisan.
We have never shied away from presenting our program very openly to whosoever wants to look at it. In our trip, on our trip to Switzerland, for instance, we had somebody from the president's office, that is supposed to be the most feared wing of the state security. I was amazed at how he was able to articulate the vision of the program. How he was able to identify with the program. At that level, it actually means it's a strength. He is going to be able to represent the program properly where it matters.